Okay, get this. April 2025. Keith Urban is practically in tears, giving this huge public tribute to Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
Calls her his life, his savior.
Yeah, I remember that. Very emotional.
But then, fast forward just 4 months, and suddenly they're living apart.
Right.
And then the divorce filing drops, and it reveals this secret legal plan, a permanent parenting plan, signed a full month before anyone knew.
And the details are just, wow.
Totally. 306 days a year custody for Nicole, specifically laid out.
Yeah.
And this $11 million payout for Keith tied directly to his sobriety.
So the end wasn't messy drama. It was, like, calculated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The execution of a precise legal strategy ending a 19-year image of, well, perfect love. Welcome to Starscope Report.
Hi, everyone. Today, we're really diving deep into the breakup that stunned Hollywood Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
Our mission here is always to cut through the noise.
Yeah.
Break down the big Hollywood dramas, the music industry shocks, the scandals everyone's talking about.
And get behind the headlines.
Exactly. We look at the real stories, the human side, but also, like today, the intricate legal stuff happening behind the scenes.
So today, we're unpacking the whole thing. We'll start with how Nicole Kidman basically took control of the story immediately with one very public appearance. We're calling it the long black gown.
A masterstroke, really.
Then we'll dig into that cold, hard legal precision. We mentioned those pre-signed agreements. What does that actually tell us?
A lot, I think.
And finally, we have to talk about the controversy around Keith. That lyric change on stage and all those whispers about someone else. Apparently, it's all over Nashville.
Yeah, that adds a whole other layer. It's this fascinating collision, isn't it?
Yeah.
Real heartbreak meets super sophisticated legal planning.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so for nearly 2 decades, their story was this powerful myth, right?
Totally. The movie star saves the musician from his demons.
And he grounds her, supports her massive career. It was a narrative people loved.
Which is why the divorce filing felt so abrupt. September 30th, 2025, Davidson County Circuit Court, Nashville. Standard irreconcilable differences. But it shattered that public image.
But the timeline, that's the key. It completely blows up the idea that this was sudden.
Right.
When you look at the documents, you see Keith sign the parenting plan back on August 29th.
August 29th.
And Nicole signed it September 6th. That's a whole month of quiet legal work before the public filing.
So if those sources are right, saying they were living apart since early summer.
It means they were hammering out the details of the split while potentially still, presenting a united front publicly. The legal structure was being built in secret.
So it was like a legal divorce happening way before the emotional one became public. Does that level of planning tell us something about where the marriage actually was?
I think it suggests the negotiation phase was paramount, maybe even overshadowing the emotional reality for a time. The documents took priority.
In that custody arrangement. It's not just approximate.
No, not at all. For Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret, it's incredibly specific. Kidman gets 306 days a year as the primary residential parent.
Leaving Urban with just 59 days. Basically every other weekend.
Exactly. That kind of mathematical precision, down to the day, points towards a very controlled, possibly non-negotiable endgame. No room for ambiguity.
That level of detail is something, especially when you think about their combined wealth. How do they manage that so quietly?
Well, that leads to another fascinating part, the finances. The court documents actually state there are no assets owned by them, either jointly or individually.
Which sounds impossible for two global superstars.
Right. But what it really means is that everything, their real estate, their investments, all that massive wealth was already tucked away in this fortress of trusts and LLCs.
Oh, okay.
And was all divided up privately, completely off the books before they even filed.
So they completely bypassed the typical public, messy fight over money.
They did. But you have to figure that avoiding the public fight means the real negotiation, maybe even the real battle, happened behind closed doors months earlier.
It points to a huge degree of legal foresight.
Absolutely. It dramatically simplified the public divorce process. And you can't help but think this reflects lessons Nicole learned from her first very public divorce from Tom Cruise.
So the public saw romance, but underneath.
Underneath, there was always a structure built for strategic separation, just in case. Maximum autonomy.
Okay, let's shift gears from the legal framework to the PR game. Because just 4 days after the filing went public, Nicole Kidman stepped out. This was her first big test.
And her choice of venue was, frankly, genius. The inaugural amfAR Dallas Gala.
Right, a major AIDS research charity event. Very serious, very high profile.
Exactly. It wasn't some glitzy movie premiere or fashion party. By choosing amfAR, held at the home of the United Airlines CEO no less, she framed her return around purpose and philanthropy.
So immediately, she's not the scorned wife. She's a global humanitarian carrying on with important work.
Precisely. It preemptively neutralized any pity or speculation. She controlled the narrative from the first photo.
And the look itself seemed designed for that message, too.
Oh, absolutely. The visuals were key. That floor-length black gown, the plunging sweetheart neckline, it's classic, but also strong, confident.
Not hiding away.
Not at all. Sleek, straight hair, that bold, double-stranded choker, it screamed composure, and the media ate it up. Words like elegant, stunning, brave face were everywhere.
She projected strength. It completely shut down the potential victim angle.
Instantly. But the real masterstroke, I think, was her speech. She was there to present an award to Taylor Sheridan.
And she didn't mention the divorce at all, did she?
Not a word about her personal life. But the subtext was incredibly powerful. She talked about common humanity, about looking out for each other.
Let me see. The quote was something like,
I think what Taylor recognizes, as we all do, is that we are all more alike than we are different, and that we are better when we look out for each other.
right, so delivering this message of unity and purpose.
It forced the media's hand. They had to report on her message, not just the gossip. It shifted the focus immediately to her resilience, her character. Really skillful.
And this public poise, it contrasts so sharply with what insiders were saying privately.
Totally. Reports were she was dreading the news breaking, incredibly stressed about it all.
But then, afterwards.
Afterwards, sources said she became surprisingly level-headed and calm, just focused on the future, focused on her daughters.
So that outward composure, that long black gown moment, was a calculated performance.
A calculated risk, yeah. And it absolutely paid off in terms of managing the public perception right out of the gate.
Okay, so despite all that careful legal planning and PR strategy, the emotional story seems pretty one-sided, at least according to Nicole's camp.
Yeah, the narrative coming from her side is very consistent. She didn't want this. She was apparently fighting to save the marriage.
And that she was blindsided when Keys finally initiated the split and said he wasn't happy.
Right, which paints a picture of her being completely caught off guard.
But then, Keith's circle seems to tell a different story. They're saying the split was kind of inevitable.
And that key detail again, they'd been living separately since early summer.
How does that happen? How did two people in the same marriage arrive at such totally different places? One thinks the end has been coming for months. The other feels blindsided.
It suggests a major disconnect, a communication breakdown maybe? Or perhaps one partner had already emotionally checked out while the other was still fully invested trying to make it work.
Denial versus acceptance, maybe?
Could be. And the gradual drift explanation gets thrown around a lot. Hectic schedules definitely didn't help. She was filming Practical Magic 2 in London.
He was touring constantly.
Right. That distance can easily create space for problems to grow or for people to drift apart without even realizing how far gone things are.
But that drift narrative gets way more complicated when you factor in the rumors.
Oh, yeah. The rumors were persistent even before the official filing. And they weren't just vague whispers.
No, sources were saying quite clearly, all signs point to the fact that Keith is with another woman.
And specifically, someone within the music business, not just a random person.
And apparently these rumors were all over Nashville, so within their own community.
Exactly. That creates a really messy, painful backdrop for everything else that unfolded, especially when you consider that famous prenup clause.
Ah, yes. The so-called cocaine clause, or more accurately, the sobriety clause.
Right. It goes back to his rehab stint in 2006, just 4 months after they got married. Nicole staged that intervention.
And the clause was designed to protect the marriage, right? To incentivize his sobriety.
Precisely. The deal was essentially he'd get a significant payout for every year of the marriage he remains sober from illegal drugs. Around $600,000 per year, according to reports.
Okay, so do the math. Nearly 19 years of marriage.
It adds up to over $11 million.
Wow, so wait. The clause designed to save the marriage, born out of that crisis early on.
Is now effectively functioning as his divorce settlement.
That is quite the financial irony.
Isn't it? It rewards the very discipline that helps sustain the marriage for so long, but the payout happens at the moment of its dissolution.
And it creates this really complicated image, doesn't it? Like he's cashing out on 19 years of sobriety within the marriage right as he walks away.
The optics are definitely awkward, especially combined with the infidelity rumors. It adds another layer of complexity to his side of the story.
Okay, so Nicole nails her public return with the amfAR Gala. Meanwhile, Keith has to keep working. He's got his High and Alive world tour going.
Right. He performed in Hershey, Pennsylvania just 2 days after the divorce filing became public. Talk about pressure.
He was photographed without his wedding ring, which is pretty standard, I guess.
But he did make one gesture during the song Heart Like a Hometown. He apparently kept a photo slideshow playing that included pictures of Nicole and their daughters.
Trying to balance things. Acknowledging the family.
Possibly a bit of defensive PR, maybe, trying to soften the blow or signal continued respect. But honestly, whatever goodwill that might have generated.
It got completely overshadowed, didn't it?
Absolutely. Just 2 days later, during another show, came the incident with the fighter.
The lyric change. Instead of, I'll be your fighter.
He allegedly sang, Maggie, I'll be your guitar player, directed apparently at Maggie Bow, his 25-year-old touring guitarist.
And she posted a clip online.
Yes, which just fanned the flames. Whether he meant it innocently as just, stage banter or if it was something more.
It didn't matter in that context, with the Nashville rumors swirling.
It was PR dynamite. It instantly put a name and a face, rightly or wrongly, to those whispers about another woman. Just incredibly ill-timed, if not ill-advised.
It really seemed to solidify the perception that he was the one leaving, maybe even why he was leaving.
Exactly. It undermined any attempt to portray the split as mutual or amicable. So if you look at their paths right after the split, they're heading in very different directions, perception-wise.
Kidman's career is just booming. Expats, baby girl, the perfect couple. She looks resilient, powerful, untouchable almost.
Her image is arguably stronger than ever, whereas Keith, he's facing a much trickier path. He has to navigate the fallout from the split itself, deal with those persistent rumors, and handle the perception that he initiated the end of this beloved pairing.
It's a crossroads for him, professionally and personally.
Definitely. And then there's the next generation.
Right. Their eldest daughter, Sunday Rose, just made her runway debut for Miu Miu during Paris Fashion Week.
So the family name, the dynasty, continues to be very much in the public eye, even as the core relationship dissolves. It adds another layer of complexity to the whole situation. #outro.
So when you put it all together, what do we actually have? The end of this perfect couple myth, which, ironically, Nicole herself warned against years ago. She said something like, you're heading for trouble if you consider yourselves the perfect couple.
Prophetic words, maybe?
Yeah, it seems this ending confirms that. It wasn't simple. It was messy human emotion denial, maybe betrayal, heartbreak, all tangled up with incredibly sophisticated, almost corporate-level legal planning.
A real collision of the heart and the contract.
Definitely.
And it leaves you wondering, doesn't it? When you see months of secret negotiations, the fortress of trusts, the pre-signed plans, it makes you think. How much of a high-profile celebrity marriage, even one that starts with genuine love and redemption stories, how much is actually driven by emotion day to day? And how much is ultimately shaped, maybe even controlled, by the lawyers in the background, always planning for the end, protecting the assets, managing the narrative? It's a provocative thought.
It really is.
Yeah.
Something for all of us to chew on. You've been listening to Starscope Report, where we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.